Hello you. So pleased you could join me again. And if you're new here, welcome. I finished this series of bat prints and I've had them hanging upside down for a few days because they're bats. They love to hang upside down, right? And having given them time to dry out, I just slipped them in between these sheets of tissue paper, and they've just been sat underneath a nice big pile of very heavy books for about another week or so. So maybe 10 days to 2 weeks, I suppose, drying time plus pressing time for these in between prints. And now I have the very satisfying job of peeling away the tissue paper, which is very satisfying, that lovely crackle. And I'm just assessing the quality of these prints as I go. Essentially, I'm going to start by making 3 separate piles. One for the ones that are clearly the best ones, one for ones like the sacrificial prints that are basically just practice runs, and then one in the middle, which is good prints, sort of in the middle. And this will help me to make a decision around which ones make the final cut for the limited edition run, and which ones will be still available but as second presses or artist's proof. And those are still sellable, but I will have to sell those at a largely reduced price because they're just not of the same quality as the edition prints. But they are still beautiful things. They're still a unique, crafted piece of artwork in their own right, and they make it far more economical for someone to own a nice piece of art on their wall. And I know at least one of these will be destined for my wall, because I only ever make things that I want to have myself. And the wonderful thing about printing particularly is it means I don't have to choose between making something that I want to have on my wall and making something that I want to sell, because I need to eat, I need to make a living. And I do love painting and drawing as well, and other analog media, but if you do a painting, you have to choose then, do I want to keep this beautiful thing that I've made, or do I want to sell it? Okay, so now that I've had a chance to take all these prints out and have a look at them, I'm just going to sort them from worst to best in terms of quality. I can see that I'm going to have 7 prints in the edition series, which is good. I normally will only do sort of 10 to 15 maybe prints in a limited edition series. That's just my personal preference, because I don't see that there's much value in signing an edition in 20 prints. That's just not the scale that I like to work at. But I'm very happy with these. But before I sign the edition run, I'm just going to sign my 2 Ps, which stands for second press. You could also use artist proof for these. So I need my code in the bottom, the artwork title in the middle, and then the signature goes in the bottom right. So I'm just practicing this on, as I say, these are the lower standard prints, and these are sorted as well in terms of worst to best quality. And it's important for me to practice on these first, because if you align the artwork title perfectly in the middle and your signature and your code perfectly in the corners, you end up with something that's a bit squished, and the layout doesn't look quite right. So I'll normally edge the title out a little bit towards the left, and this will squash and stretch a little bit depending on how long the title of your artwork is, and also how long your name is for the signature. So I try to aim for an equal amount of space between the code, the title, and the signature, rather than obsess over placing things perfectly dead center, because that might seem like the sensible thing to do compositionally, but in practice, as you can see, it can look a little bit odd. So, having practiced on my second presses, it's time to move on to my editioned run, and I just want to check again that I'm definitely happy with my selection and with the order that I'm going to sign them in. These should be fairly much of muchness. Each one is a unique crafted thing, but they should be consistent in terms of the overall quality. So I'm just double checking that I am happy with all of these. Some have a little more chatter than others, and some will have a little more of the grainy texture, basically where those white speckles show through. I like a bit of the texture, the white speckly stuff, and I like the chatter, the black sort of streaky marks that pick up on raised areas. But yeah, I just want to make sure it's consistent. I'm also just counting them again, just so that I definitely know I have 7 prints here, because if I number them incorrectly and then have to go in and rub it out and do it again, that's going to be a bit embarrassing, and it can leave some nasty streaky marks on the paper sometimes if you have to rub your signature out. But one of the reasons why the convention is that we always sign and edition prints using graphite, and I'm using an HB pencil here, is partly because it's archival, so it will stand the test of time and won't fade. Also, if you do make a mistake, you can correct yourself, so that's useful. Now, I'm not drawing a line with my ruler, I'm just using it to bring that straight edge closer to the artwork and help me with placing my code and then my title in the middle and then my signature in the right. It always feels very stressful doing this. I think it feels like it's a very high pressured thing, actually, signing and editioning prints. But the way I'm doing this is I'm starting at the end of the series and working my way to the front. So I start with 7 of 7, 6 of 7, 5 of 7, and so on and so forth. You know how numbers work, until I get to 1 of 7. And part of this is just, again, practice for me. I am that person who has to practice writing her signature. But that is pretty much it. I just need to get to the end of these, and then when they're all finished, they can go back into their tissue paper to be stored nice and flat and safe, ready to go to their new homes. And needless to say, if you would like to give a home to one of these prints, I will leave a link to my shop in the description for this video. So it only remains to say thank you so much for watching. I've really enjoyed spending time with you throughout all these videos in this series, and I hope to see you next time. Until then, take care of yourself. Ta-ta for now.